understanding of this nation, and which will form the basis of a stronger, a sounder democratic system to ensure that some of the...
Did that sound like somebody who is a stark illiterate? Abacha spoke clearer English language than Buhari. Am I, is that a lie or a lie? Abacha he clearly spoke better English than Buhari. But you see, Tifnumbu, hi, and their gang, despite being a double agent working for the same Abacha, they were able to use that media, not social media, media at the time, to present him in a different way, and they were the better people. You will never want to doubt it. There are people in Nigeria today that strongly believe that all of these things that they are hearing about Tifnumbu, they are only coming from people, okay, who hate Nigeria or who just don't like Tifnumbu. In fact, he is in fact a better person. But you know what Tifnumbu and gang did? The same people who convinced some section of Yoruba land that Obasanjo is not Yoruba. Today, Obasanjo, we have the image of Obasanjo's father, Obasanjo's mother. We know Obasanjo's homestead. We know Obasanjo's siblings. We know Obasanjo's other family members. We know Obasanjo's family house. Okay? But the same media in the 80s and 90s, starting from when Obasanjo collaborated in denying Awolowo the supposed victory of 1979. Again, the beginning of the propaganda was escalated. The propaganda became more escalated in the 90s by the Tifnumbus. And I promise you, if you see anyone who was born in the 80s and 90s, a Yoruba, that will tell you that they've never heard before that Obasanjo is not Yoruba, that person is lying. For so many people who took it up, because to them, Obasanjo must be Omoale Yoruba. It's only Omoale. Obasanjo, you know, see Obasanjo's this. They cooked the story enough to make everybody believe that they said Obasanjo's father, they said he was a soldier. Okay, and he traveled from Anambra and he arrived in Owu. And Obasanjo's mother, a trader, he became pregnant. So that man now left as a soldier and nobody saw him again. And that's how they gave birth to Obasanjo. The story, as stupid as it sounds, was promoted by a man that failed to that is not proud to present his own mother or father. Even those who are adopted, when a child is adopted, once they become adults, they usually, if they want to, they usually go look for their birth mothers or birth parents just to have a closure. Tifnumbu is the only one that was adopted by Abibatu Mogaji from Ibadan. But that was it. Nobody knew the life before him, before that. That was the person that continued to propagate, this has been for years, so that Obasanjo was not Yoruba. So this animosity, power sharing, this or that, Abacha knew it very well too. The dead dictator was only just taking his turn, I believe. Watch this too. This was on CNN. just 2 months before Abacha suddenly dropped dead. A young person was on the CNN promoting Abacha.
Majority wish of the people of Nigeria that they want him to continue.
Now, if he does run and he does decide to take up this will as you describe it, would he run as a general or would he run as a civilian?
He will run as General Sani Abacha.
So he'll run as the general. Well, Mr. Nas, don't go away. We will get back to you in just a moment. Let's get across to Daniel Kanu, who's standing by also waiting for us in Dallas, Texas. Daniel, you're in charge of a group that is very supportive of General Sani Abacha's regime and everything, and you basically have said that you will make it, to quote you, I think, ungovernable in Nigeria if the general doesn't continue in charge. What do you mean by that?
Well, Youth Honestly Ask for Abacha is a highly motivated organization. We believe that General Abacha is the right candidate to lead this country. We believe in what he has done for the youth of the country. He has invested a lot. A lot of money have gone through the Petroleum Trust Fund, which has invested over $600 million in the Nigerian economy. He has done a lot for the people of Nigeria, and we believe that he's the best person. And the youth of Nigeria are dedicated to seeing that he continues, irrespective of what the opposition said. And there's another factor. The Shoyinke of a man that made all the allegations last week, we have to look at his record. It is important that we know who we're listening to. Shoyinke, as we know it, is a wife abuser. He kidnapped, back when his child was 5 years old, he kidnapped a child in London without due process of the British law. So we need to look at the record of the people that are opposing Abacha. A good majority of Nigerians are strongly in support of General Abacha.
Daniel, let me ask you briefly then, basically, what if the people of Nigeria reject General Sani Abacha at the polls? Will you accept that decision?
The majority of Nigerians are strongly in support of Abacha. Based on what we have seen, based on the rallies that we've held, considering the turnout at the past 2 million youth march, which we had almost a turnout of 3 million people, we believe that majority of Nigerians are in support of him, and we don't expect anything different from that.
Although media reports put the number at a lot less, probably around 100,000. But let me ask you, if the polls do actually go ahead and put General Sani Abacha out of power, would you respect that decision by the people if they do vote him out?
We respect the decision of the people, but at this time and for the future to come, the majority stands strongly behind Abacha.
Something happened to my audio.
Let me go across to Wada Nas, who's been on the line with us. He's an advisor to General Abacha. Let me put an email question to you, please, Mr. Nas. This came from Nigeria, from Lagos, and it says, do you think continuous criticism of the government will sway and prevail transition? I don't think so, but please comment.
But I don't think there is much criticism about the government. But all the same, I know there are some people, for their own selfish interests, they do criticize the government, but not because the government is failing.
Selfish interest, that's how they criticize governments.
Let me ask you an email question also from Uganda here, please, Mr. Nas. It says, will Sani Abacha consider forming a government of national unity with pro-democracy forces?
All that I know is that General Sani Abacha is elected, he will form a government.
Okay, let's get our caller on the line. First caller on the line from England with a question. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Chairman. Why can't the head of state come out openly to tell the whole world that he wants to contest the presidential elections?
I guess that should really go to Wada Nas, please, Mr. Nas. Why hasn't he come out and said that he's going to contest the elections?
So they were just the one doing it for him.
Sure, listening to us that when the time comes, he will come openly and tell the Nigerians his intention. So there is no hurry.
Okay. So Daniel, your group is actually basing your actions in support of General Sani Abacha on what we're hearing so far is that he actually hasn't said he wants to run. So how do you basically support someone who hasn't actually come forward and said they're going to run as president?
Well, our supreme objective initially was to create a worldwide awareness of all his accomplishments, which we have done so far. And we are continuing on to convince him, to convince his family. to help us to lure him into contesting. We believe he's the right candidate, and we're working strongly towards that. We have held several symposiums at universities all over the country.
And Daniel Kanu at the time was just about,
and the
it
people
was
of the world
about
need to know
24
this.
years
It is very
old.
important that we
Very
listen
young
to
guy.
Nigerian voices, not the people, not the renegades that are out running around from capital to capital, parading themselves with briefcase, collecting money to pursue their own selfish interest. We need to recognize and listen to the Nigerian voices. We need to listen to the Nigerian children, and they are strongly in support of General Abacha. I wish you can send a delegation to Nigeria. I would be glad to take them around. I will take them to places and let them see the tangible accomplishments that the great general has laid down for the future of that country. It is important. These are things that are there on the ground, and we need to recognize and pay attention to it.
All right, this question I'm going to...
Any similarity? Anything different from what you see today on your TV? When people speak for Bokwari for 8 years? Listen, all these people who are jumping here and there, who are just talking all these things about the president. The president is so interested in building the country. The president is working very hard. Listen, that's Daniel Kanu. He was about 22 or 23 years old, though, in that time. Daniel Kanu. He was the young guy who got the contract to mobilize the young people by organizing, football matches, organizing bogus competitions where people win something, organizing, concerts where artists are brought in and paid. He was less than 24 years old. So have you seen those you see today around? 26 years after that. Do you see the similarity today? Because those who told us Abacha was this or that, they were called pro-democracy, the pro-democracy group. And Tinubu and gang, they were part of that. For their pathway to power, they went on to go and bring Abacha's ally, Bokwari, another dictator, so that through him, they have a close possibility of getting to power. 26 years after that, they are now in power. Now you realize that anybody telling you that they want to fix Nigeria, in order to keep that contraption, they are only doing so for themselves. A lot of you are going to help them. The only thing the only solution to bring all of this to an end is to join us to continue to advocate for the breakup of this contraption. That will break the cycle. Those who said they would make Nigeria better, democracy was what Nigeria needed, 26 years after, they are now the ones in government. Some of you are looking back today and like, Abacha was better. Really? So some people are kind of going to tell you now that you deserve better life. You deserve this or that. Nigeria will be great. New Nigeria is possible. This or that. Only just to use you for the moment. You're going to look back years after and be like, that time was better. Unfortunately, there are those who are already saying Bokwari's time was better. Can you not see through it? That we cannot keep doing the same thing again and again and expect a different result. Abacha died 26 years ago. Many of your parents, they were on the streets celebrating the freedom, the democracy they were promised. Oh my God, God is a miraculous worker. This must be God. God must have heard the prayers of the poor. 26 years after. Some of you, the children of those parents, yeah? Because some of you were born 26 years ago, 25 years ago, 24, 20 years ago. And many of you are parents yourself. Meaning, some of those who celebrated the death of Abacha like it is the end of their suffering and horrible leadership. People who made them believe that they took over their lives. See what they have done in 24, 25 years. Somebody is going to tell you, we need to rescue this country. We need to save ourselves, our generation unborn. Okay. Then that happens because you are keeping a contraption that is indeed set up to fail. Why do we want to continue to keep it together the same way the rogues who are in charge actually wanted it to be? Every time they tell you they want to fight to make Nigeria better, no, they want to use you into getting to power, take their turn, do whatever they think is right. Now your own body will tell you, just like under Bukwari, now under Tifnumbu. There are those who are telling you right now that they could make Nigeria better. Maybe one of these days, they too, if Nigeria still exists, they will have the chance, and they would then tell you that those before them, they've destroyed things too much, pretending that they were not part of those who destroyed it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this issue of a regional system, regionalism, it is real. In fact, I have heard that the real issue is that, you see the one we saw online, that regional system that we proposed, that we saw online from 2023, then now to 2024, that one, that's not the real one. In fact, that one was deliberately pushed to go viral, just to test the reactions of the people. Arewa, if you are watching me from Arewa, I am not trying to possibly mock you, because the general belief is, or majority of the things that people say about regional system or breaking up of Nigeria and all of that, they are coming from the position of fear created by the same politicians that want to dissuade you from the positivity of the breakup of Nigeria. The only people that are against the breakup of Nigeria, they are the criminal politicians from every region of Nigeria. Abacha thought creating 6 regions, changing from the old 3 regions of the north, the east, and the west, to creating a 6th region that you now have, you call it a 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria today. Abacha thought that would make it easier for every criminal politician from all these zones to rotate power among themselves without having to ever think of breaking up of Nigeria. That was Abacha's solution, but it was to benefit it first. But it didn't benefit, it died. Okay? Now, the criminals from all parts of these Nigeria regions, they have contributed immensely, so hugely, right, into the destruction of their regions. The 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria is ravaged with terrorism, poverty, underdevelopment, that is a dilapidated infrastructures, unemployment, horrible, horrible things that a good governance could actually really fix. While majority of them became super rich just by using their region's tickets as their meal tickets at the national hearing desk. So it's never worked for anyone. The current Nigeria, as much as they will make some of you from northern Nigeria to believe that you are born to rule, that's one of the stupid lies that were told by politicians. Because this Nigeria can't break. This is their feeding bottle. But for those of you who come from all these regions, the northwest, northeast, north central, southwest, southeast, south, These were the creation of Abacha. But listen, is there any one of you that come from all of these 6 geopolitical zones that can raise up your hand and say you are having it better than any other region or geopolitical zone in Nigeria? Anybody? Apart from your or our criminal leaders that brags about how many times they have been in power, save for that, what else do you have to show for it? So if you are watching me from Arewa, I know you have a different mentality about Nigeria. Many of us from southern Nigeria have different mentality about northern Nigeria too. But there were actually those from northern Nigeria, from southern Nigeria, who have experienced both because of before Nigeria got so divided like this. It used to be like an exchange of culture, tradition, and that trade and all that. But the same politicians who have now brought us to this stage, they want you to believe that a certain region is going to suffer more when Nigeria break. In some areas, they want you to believe that minorities will suffer more if Nigeria breaks or Nigeria goes into regionalism. All of this fear, they were the creation of the beneficiaries of one Nigeria. And guess what? They know the only thing that ever worked for Nigeria, ever, this contraption, was when everybody was minding their own business. The moment they started making us to poke nose into our businesses, Wahala started. Development became stunted. The growth too. And now we are ravaged with poverty, corruption, terrorism. So what exactly do you think you're going to lose? I may understand your fear, by the way, especially when we look at the characters who are pushing the regionalism. Fine. Tifnumbu and his gang cannot be trusted. If it is never going to benefit them, they will never do it. So yes, that is all right. But you need to drop that fear. That fear they told you that northern Nigeria is going to suffer if Nigeria break. The only people that will suffer when Nigeria either go regionalism or Nigeria breaks apart, they are the criminal politicians and their friends, economic saboteurs, economic terrorists that are controlling the levels of power just to fulfill or somehow, to fulfill the insatiable lust of their friends, their glutinous friend who will never stop taking from the supposed poorest country. They are those that will lose. Is it terrorism that is going to make you miss Nigeria? Is it the religious fanaticism that will make you miss Nigeria? Of course, you're not going to miss anything. All of the time that the northern criminals controlled Nigeria, it has never benefited a single soul that is not from their circle in that northern area. Prove me wrong, because they have managed to now infect their fellow criminals from southern Nigeria to inject this same mentality of rankadede. Poverty is good. God loves the poor. Respect the rich because respect your leaders because they are chosen by God. That kind of mentality are all imported to the southern part of Nigeria, but they are like age-long tradition. In northern Nigeria, it has not brought any real development. So you're not going to miss anything. In fact, you're going to be better. You're going to have the answers to the underdevelopment of northern Nigeria, the Islamic radicalization of the north, and all of those archaic, backward sort of mentality of those criminal leaders of yours. Who tells you to live in the ancient? Kill yourselves in the name of religion. But yet they are acquiring everything they tell you to reject. Every haram is what they are actually engaging in. They are stealing, they are looting. They are out there living the life of a luxury, royalty, while they watch millions of you. But it is convenient for them to lie to you about why they are unable to fix the northern Nigeria and why they continue to pursue Islamic agendas that has added no real life value to anybody in that northern Nigeria, except for the subjugation, for the control mechanism that is being used for. Listen, the moment they have no Nigeria to use as an excuse anymore, you will now understand why all these decades they intentionally impoverished, terrorized northern Nigeria. And you will not have the southern